Hi, this is Kym Watson of Easy Trader. Welcome to an exclusive review of the key economic news events being released in the coming week. So what are the big four movers? Well, really, there's possibly a couple more, but they're outside my normal trading time. So the four I've focused on is the UK PMI services and manufacturing figures. Both of these generally can give some good pip moves. Following on, on Thursday we've got the European ECB press conference, which gives again can give some decent volatility, and that's the week's finish with the non-farm payrolls. Let's have a look in more detail. Monday the 1st, it's US Labour Day holiday and Canadian Day holiday, so the afternoon may be a bit quieter than normal. Plus, we're still not really back to school yet, so there's a bit of a lag. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's a quieter day. We do however have the that should be GBP, the pound. So we've got the UK manufacturing figures coming out at 9:30. This often gives us a decent move. Last month we saw around about a 30 pip move off this news, so we can often see some decent volatility around this time. Probably more important, but at a rotten time, at 5:30 in the morning, we've got the Australian RBOA interest rate decision, the Reserve Bank of Australia. Now, this can give some decent moves. Last month, it only gave a 10 pip move, though, with no change in the base rate, and they've suggested with a soft jobs market that it will be held longer, so there's unlikely to be much volatility probably this month as well. Moving later in the morning, then we've got UK construction PMI figures coming out at 9:30. This has not given anything much more than about 9 or 10 pip move for some time, and the US ISM manufacturing figures in the afternoon, again the very small movements that we're seeing, very little volatility, the market almost ignoring it. Moving on to Wednesday, the Australian GDP figure coming out at 2:30, key figure, but wrong time for me to be trading it, but it could well give some reasonable pips, although last time we did see a bit of a drop and then a rally coming from just as soon as a positive surprise of 0.2 came out. Funny old price action runs around there, and you can get quite a lot of slippage, hence why I don't personally get up to trade it. Then moving on to later in the morning, much more key figure, the UK services PMI coming out at 9:30. Services are a large part of the UK GDP figures, so it's a very, very key figure. That said, we've been sort of getting somewhere in the region of 30 pip moves coming from this, so I expect some volatility around there. I'm not going to take second guesses on where it's going to go. I never try and do that on these news events. It's more important looking at the potential pips to be made from them and the volatility and their actual moves. Now, looking at the Canadian Bank of Canada interest rate, that's coming out at 3 o'clock. Now, this can give some decent moves, but again, it can be quite whippy, a 20 pip either way last time. I personally don't trade it, but it may create some volatility later in the afternoon, which could be traded. Thursday, retail sales. Again, this is a bit of a mover, but the bigger moves have been on the disappointment figures, where they've found to come in line. The positive figure last month gave just a 12 pip move. A disappointing move the month before, okay, it was 0.5 versus 0.5 difference, but it gave a 45 pip trade straight away. Again, it's for the early birds or the late birds. Moving on to the interest rate decision at 12 o'clock, there's unlikely to see much in the way of volatility, although it may be slightly bigger, bearing in mind 2 members of the committee voted against leaving rates as they are, so we may see a statement at least come out around 12 o'clock with the interest rate decision, which could cause a bit of volatility. We've got later in the morning or afternoon, early afternoon rather, we've got the interest rate decision at 12:45 from the ECB. Again, having seen it's not many months away since we've seen a cut in the interest rates, that I'm not expecting it to happen straight away. Also, there was a comment out during this week which suggested that there's unlikely to be any changes. So that in itself is not very tradable, and the volatility, well, maybe a bit patchy around it. US ADP non-farm payrolls. These haven't created much in the way of interest for a long time. The figure itself is often way adrift of the proper US non-farm payrolls, which come out on Friday, and not only that, even they have reduced in their significance, so the ADP figure is even less significant. What is significant though, one of the big figures, is what they'll talk about at the ECB press conference with Draghi at 1:30. This can give us a bit more idea of their ideas and the timing of any possible changes and what they actually may change. It's not always clear, but it does sometimes give some good volatility around that time. And there will be a lot of focus on that, with the CPI only just coming out in line at the flash figure came out for Europe at 0.3, which is way below where it needs to be, of the target of 2%. Okay, moving into Friday, we got the Canadian employment report at 1:30 and the US non-farm payrolls at 1:30 as well. Now, if the Canadian figure had been coming out on its own, I'd be trading it. It does give some nice moves, but with the being dollar backed, there's conflict between the two figures, and it's easier to trade the euro dollar with the non-farm payrolls, which on average now gives something like 30 pip movements, as opposed to where it was in the region of 60 pips at the earlier part and certainly late last year. So the emphasis on the non-farms has dropped, but it's still a key figure, and we'll look forward to trading that. Okay, that's it for me. Hope you have a great week. Bye for now.